Waterboarding. They're talking about wakeboarding. The thing about wakeboarding, every trick is an invert.
Backside.
Frontside, air railings.
A new dimension.
All right, we're back again for another episode of the Grab Matters podcast. Today we got Quint Noble. How you doing, Quint?
Great. Excellent.
Good to hear. Cracking a cold one with the boys here. Quint is the owner of STEEZ Life, which a lot of you wakeboarders probably know of, and then also Inkfinity Printing, right? Owner of both?
Correct.
Okay. Start off with an easy question. What is a hard 50?
A 50-50
What makes it hard?
when you stomp it.
Okay.
And I guess, hard 50. I can hit anything 50-50.
Okay.
Put it in front of me, hard 50 in that.
Even a triple kink?
I'll go for it.
I'll go for the hard 50.
I'm not scared. No, but it just was like a joke of, you do like hard way 270 or like whatever. And I was like, yo, I'm straight hard 50 all day.
Straight hard 50s all day. Is that a dad move particularly? Is that big in the dad scene?
Yeah.
Hard 50s?
I would say I just got to a point where I wasn't trying to impress anyone, and I just wanted to have fun, and I know I can lace a 50-50.
Big feel-good trick is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Wake pants, yes or no?
If you want to wear them, go for it, but I'm not going to make them.
I noticed you haven't made any. It's a very lucrative market, so I'm kind of wondering.
Yeah, 12 kids would buy
You're missing out on literally hundreds of
12
dollars.
kids would buy them, and then 12 kids would want them for free. So
We'll get into that later. All right, let's go into the kind of the story of Quint. So where did you grow up, and kind of where are you from?
grew up in Oregon until like middle school. So my dad's from out here, which is North Carolina, where we are. Moved here in high school, but the beginning of my life, I guess, I grew up in Oregon. So like skating and snowboarding out there.
So that's where you got into it. Skating and snowboarding was out in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, learned how to snowboard at Mount Hood.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to ask
First time ever.
where you rode at.
I was terrible.
Yeah?
And like learning on like a real mountain, not. I mean, it's fun, but like a little harder than out here.
Did you learn in the summer or the winter?
We did winter.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you didn't start with skiing, you went straight to boarding?
I skied when I was like 6 one time, and then I think like 5th grade, me and a buddy went up and took like a 30-minute lesson, and they were like, this is how you strap in, this is how you turn, and then we just went for it.
Sent you on your way?
Yeah.
Okay. So when did you say you moved over here to North Carolina?
In like 8th grade.
Okay. And did you keep snowboarding then when you got over here?
I actually started snowboarding like more when I was here, which is weird. It was like, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours away, and we would just go. They had a really good park scene, so.
Where was this?
App Ski and then Beach Mountain.
Okay. And you just kind of bounced between both of them, or?
Yeah, mainly App, just because they had like the best park at the time, but it's like super tiny. I mean, this.
Yeah, Midwest kind of
yeah.
south or northeast, southeast kind of smaller hills. Where did you, or when did you start wakeboarding? Was that over in Oregon, or is that when you moved over here?
I mean, so I have like a completely different relationship with wakeboarding than like most of your guests. I didn't like grow up wakeboarding. Like we didn't have a boat, and I think like maybe one of my middle school buddies, they had a boat, and we would like tube and kneeboard and that. But I didn't wakeboard until maybe like once or twice in high school.
Okay.
With random people that had it. I think my dad's buddy had a boat, and the first time I ever like really wakeboarded was with those like you gel it up and
slip it in,
and like you catch an edge, you're shooting out of that thing. But yeah, I didn't actually start wakeboarding till college. Like my roommate at the time, it's kind of a funny story, but he like used his student loans to buy a boat.
That's a great idea.
Great to be his roommate as well, because I got to reap the benefits. But yeah, we would like take it out, I don't know, not daily, but a lot, like during college. And that's, I guess, when I got into wakeboarding, or at least knew more about the scene and like.
Yeah, where did you go to school? Where was this?
In Charlotte. Okay. So like Lake Wiley and Lake Norman, that area. But yeah, I wasn't like into it. Like he
Just
had a
having
boat,
fun.
and I would like go out there and ride,
Yeah.
and I could throw like a tantrum.
Was it like a wakeboard boat or was it?
Yeah, it was a Centurion, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, terrible investment with your student loans, but I don't know. He got a good job, so I think he paid it off eventually.
It worked out for him. That's good. Did you say, where did you go to college?
Well, so I moved to Charlotte to go to UNC Charlotte for architecture.
Mm-hmm.
Lived with 3 architects and decided I did not want to do that at all. And then just like worked, and then ended up going to the community college for a 2-year graphic arts degree.
So why didn't you want to do architecture?
Dude, they spent like, I mean, I like, this was like right when I moved out of my parents' house. I was like trying to snowboard and, party, and they were like in the studio working, or not working, like doing
Studying,
school stuff
yeah.
for hours and hours and hours. And I was just like, also I hate math, and that's like a lot of architecture.
A lot of angles.
I wanted to do, like, I was really good at the AutoCAD, like the computer side of it.
Yeah.
I'm like good at design, but not what you have to do to get the degree. So I don't know.
All the classes you
Ended
gotta
up
pass.
finding graphic arts, and didn't actually graduate, but went for 2 years.
Really? Okay, I kind of
Yeah.
want to get into that. So you went for architecture, didn't like it. Did you like drop out or just stop going, get a job, or?
Yeah, I was always working full time. And then at that point I've always kind of been like, I guess, creative. Like I was like painting or drawing or like doing whatever. So then I was like, oh, here's a graphic arts program at a community college. I'll try that out. Started there, and so I was working full time, going to school full time, and then also starting the brand. 'Cause like I learned how to screen print and graphic arts, and I was like, oh, this is how we do it. So one of those had to go, and school was the one that had to go. Like I had to make money. And
You're not gonna make money at school, so.
yeah, exactly. And then also, it was always kind of my fallback. I was like, yo, if this doesn't work, I'll go back to school and do it. So that's like 2008-ish.
And that's when you were starting STEEZ was.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know if you want to. Do you want
I
to
want
start
to dive
into that
into it.
right
Yeah,
now?
let's dive into it. Unless if
Alright.
there's anything else, in your early life that you
Before-
think would be.
I don't know, dude. I mean, yeah, we would like, I wasn't into wakeboarding like at that point really. Like I did it.
Yeah.
I was into like board sports in general.
Just the lifestyle of.
Yeah. So, like, when I found graphic arts and then came up with this whole idea, I was never good enough at any of the board sports to be like, oh, I'm going to be sponsored. Like, I wanted, like, anyone wants to be sponsored, but I was never like, oh, I'm going to be good and focus on this one thing and get sponsored. I was always just like, I want to be involved with all the board sports somehow. And so this was kind of like that idea, or like what sparked it, I guess.
Okay.
But then, so like I'm going to school in Morgan, and then I started like painting. So this is like way back. Only, I don't know, probably like 10 people really know this story, if that. I don't know for sure. But it started as me just painting like Jackson Pollock style. I think that's his name, the artist.
Sounds familiar.
It's like the splatter.
Yeah. Okay.
Just, it looks like a mess.
Yeah.
So I was like doing that style shit, and started as paintings, and then we were like, oh, that'd be cool on a shirt. So then we would like duct tape like zigzags and like weird designs, and then like literally take just acrylic, like shitty,
And just throw it on.
Hobby Lobby paint, and like splatter the shirts, and then take the tape off so there'd be like a design on it. This is like before we knew how to actually make t-shirts or whatever. So we were doing that, and then making hats. We were doing it on like just anything we could splatter is like what we were doing. And so people liked it. At least our friends were like, oh, that's cool. I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible. I still have some of them. Like I should have brought them. It would be funny. They're like, we were making like tall tees when that was a thing in snowboarding.
Yeah.
So we were doing that, and I guess we just had the backing of some of our homies that were like, yo, you guys should like do this as a brand. And so we called it Splatter Tees, was like what started. And so Splatter Tees with a Z, and then of course with a Z. And then one of my buddies was like, oh, that's kind of like STEEZ, like, which at that point was, I guess, a word that people used.
Yeah.
Kind of like
that was
in
steezy,
some
bro.
parts of not really out west, but like on the East Coast, I think. And so that is, we used to just do STZ as like it was kind of like our artist signature almost. So like Splatter Tees became STEEZ, and it was just STZ. And that's like how it started.
Okay. I thought it was something else, but so who was we? Who was like the group that you're designing these, or
so this is, I mean, it started with just like friends, like my roommates who are like still some of my good friends now, but the main dude is Todd. He was like my homie we worked at, I guess I did kind of glaze over that part. I worked at Sun and Ski Sports in Charlotte. It's like in a mall. So it's like kind of like a PacSun or a Zoomies, but they had skate, snowboard, skis, like footwear. I mean, they had like North Face and all that. I mean, it was in a mall, so it was not like a core
you're like
snowboard shop, but it was like a retail shop.
Yeah.
And that's where I met like my roommate who bought the boat. That's where I met Todd. That's where I met like a lot of people in Charlotte. And so we all kind of had like the like-minded of snowboarding, but we were just working there because we got pro deals and got to ride free at like all the mountains.
Yeah.
So Todd was a coworker, and then he was like the only dude who was like, dude, let's do this, you know. So he backed my creativity, and then he like brought his own element to it, and then so we've been business partners since then.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not just me that does this. Like I do a lot of it, but I'm more of the face of it. But I have a business partner.
He's behind the scenes a lot too.
Yeah, he does like all the website, and then also like a big part in Inkfinity.
Okay, cool. So we'll get into Inkfinity in a little bit, but so I always thought STZ originally stood for Self-Taught Zeechers.
That was just later when I was like, because I had a couple of homies here that like rep the brand, and then they moved to Tahoe, and like STEEZ was like a bad word out there at some point, and he was like, dude, you got to change the name. And I was like, I'm not going to change it.
It's too late now.
Yeah, I was like, whatever, dude. I don't give a shit. Like some people call it STEEZ, some call it STZ, some say STEEZ Life, like, which that's another story. Like mine originally, I don't know. Do you want me to tell that now, or
if it makes sense? Is it? Yeah. STEEZ Life. So
my Instagram used to just be STZ_Quint, and then Todd's was STZ_Todd. And I'm not like huge in Instagram. I never did selfies or like, oh, here's my meal, or, you know, whatever, or I guess relevant, what music I listen to. Like I never posted any of that stuff. It was always just like what I was doing, either like making like my artwork or just snowboarding, or, you know, but that was also back when you had to take the photo
in Instagram,
which like I kind of wish they would bring back.
They should.
I don't know. Instagram's like, that's a whole we could have a whole podcast on that, but I forgot what I was even saying.
STEEZ Life.
Oh yeah. So I was posting like a bunch, and we had like a little 300 square foot, like our first space was in the garage, but then we moved into like a little warehouse that was 300 square feet. And I was in there after work, after school, printing like all the time. So I think I made a post that was just like STEEZ Life. Like my life is just in this warehouse, like printing all the time now. And then that was like just the caption. And then at one point I just was like, I don't want a personal Instagram anymore, so I just switched it to STEEZ Life, and I was like, all right, this is the brand now.
Created.
Yeah, this is the brand.
So I do want to back up. So you started in a garage, was it?
Yeah. So Todd's, he had like a, I don't know, 3-bedroom or 2 or 3-bedroom spot with some roommates, and they were the only people that had garage space. So we bought a press, a screen printing press, and a dryer. And then that was like while I was in school, and I hadn't learned like how to make t-shirts.
So this is with the
legit.
money that you guys are making at whatever job you're working at
Yeah,
the time.
I think like for Christmas, like my aunt gave me like $500.
Okay.
I was like, here, this is for your business, you know, and like me and Todd made like a whole business pitch to my dad. And we were like, we're going to be a screen print shop and then the brand and like, cuz I also worked at a screen print shop out of school.
Okay.
Like when I quit, I got a full-time job at a print shop. So I was like, the thought behind that was I'm going to learn more in screen printing and make money. And then we have our own press. So like I can do it after hours.
Kind of get paid to learn and then shift that into your own
Yeah.
your own thing. How much does that first press cost? Do you remember?
I think we maybe spent like, I don't know, $2 or $3 grand.
Okay. So still, I mean, good amount of money.
Yeah, it was more than, I mean, the barrier to entry in screen printing is really low. Like you can go on Amazon and buy like a shit, just the worst like press ever. And you can make shirts with it, but on like a scale of quality and then also like a retail scale and being able to make hundreds, like you need like a good one.
Yeah.
Or a better one.
So that's just one shirt at a time, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd take you forever to
Yeah.
print out a
So
bunch.
I don't know, I feel like we're all over the place right now.
No, this is perfect. So then you moved from that garage
to the little 300 square foot warehouse. It was like the office of a warehouse. And then on the outside in the warehouse was just this dude who just hoarded. Like there was like VW bugs and like just fishing. Like it was insane. We would go out there and just pick stuff and be like, whoa, this is dope. Like, you think I'll miss it? And like we'd use like photos and, you know, some of the props for like our first, you know, lookbooks and shit like that were just random stuff we found in this dude's hoarding warehouse. But we were like, we had no money at that, you know, like we weren't a brand at all. It was just like an idea and we were running with it and we were like, well, let's just give this a go. So we weren't pouring like a ton of money into it, but we were working our asses off like after hours, like super late nights trying to like just come up with graphics. And then that was like super early on in Instagram and Facebook where it worked perfectly because that actually was when it was kind of good still. And all your friends saw, like when you posted
Everything you
shit,
posted.
they saw it. And so like we had we networked like really well and just had a ton of friends. And like we would throw parties and be printing in the garage. So people would like see it and just be like, oh, I want to buy a shirt, you know? So it just kind of spread at like the right time.
Okay.
In college, at least. It like starting a brand when you're older than college, I feel like would be impossible.
Yeah.
Like
Good luck to me.
Yeah.
So who's buying your stuff then? Like at the beginning in that first place, and then when you move into the kind of small studio office area, is it just kind of friends of friends, and you're not doing any shipping yet, or were you starting to dive into shipping a little bit?
It's probably just mainly friends of friends.
Okay.
I mean, we would try and go to like events. Like we would go to I mean, there were some like wakeboard things that we went to. There's like a shop called Icy Wakes in Lake Norman. I think they carried our stuff for a little bit. Like we would hit up skate shops and wakeboard shops or snowboard shops and just be like, hey, do you guys want to carry our brand? And like we're a nobody, so most of them were like, no. Like,
who are you?
yeah, we don't even know what this is. But so there was some shipping, but it was mainly just friends of friends.
Okay. And then I guess I'm really curious to the point where it turned from, and I don't know if it's a little bit further down the line from this, where it turned from you guys are working on the side to now you kind of make the jump. I feel like there's a point.
Yeah.
You shift to kind of doing this full time.
I had like, dude, my wife she could tell you probably better. Like I had like so many jobs just like randomly. I was working for Shutterfly, which is like a big print facility. And it was like on a year contract. And I was making really good money, but it was like a year contract. And then when they were going to bring 2 of the 6 people that were on, they offered it to me, but like for half of what we were making. And I was like, well, no. I'm not going to do that. So that's when I didn't have a job. Todd still had a good job. And I was just like, dude, I guess I'm just going to go for it. Like, at that point we were growing Inkfinity as well. Like, it wasn't just the brand. Like, we were taking custom orders and printing other people's stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's like kind of how we would take that money and then put it into the brand. You know what I mean?
And
like,
kind of continue the shift.
yeah.
So you might not have signed any wakeboard contracts, but what was that Shutterfly contract?
I think I mean, I want to say I was making like $30 or $40 an hour, working 12-hour shifts, and then what was it? It was like 3 on, 2 off,
Okay.
2 on, 3 off, like something like that.
Yeah, good
But
money.
I was,
though.
I
Really
mean,
good money.
I was also like, I don't know, 20 something, like early mid 20s,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, I'm making $500 a shift, you know, or like
Yeah.
something like that. I was like, yeah, dude, this is dope.
Rolling in it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had saved up some too. So I had a little bit of buffer, and then was like, well, if going all in on Infinity and the brand doesn't work, I guess I'll go back to school and like find another
Yeah, you can always go back to it. Yeah, so I guess my question was, did Infinity or STEEZ start first? But it sounds like STEEZ started first, and then it kind of worked itself into Infinity.
Yeah. The brand, I guess, did start first, with like the splatter tees stuff, and then in school. So like that started before school even. Like that was just in our garage, like doing random shit. And then when I went to school, I had 2 years of screen printing classes, graphic design, you know, Illustrator, and like doing all the design side. And we would actually learn, you create a design in Illustrator and then take it all the way to like a printed shirt. So the first shirt I ever printed, I think we actually dropped it like a year or two ago, like brought it
Like a
back.
throwback?
It was, we were at the bar and my buddy was just like, I was trying to come up with ideas for like a project, and he was like, dude, just make me a shirt with like a cloud raining on a whale. And I was like, okay. And so like came up with a design, and it actually was kind of dope. But like, it looks kind of hand drawn or like vintage. I don't know, but we dropped it like, I don't know, a couple years ago. It did all right.
Did all right.
But that was like my first, I guess that was the first like STEEZ print, like legit, like screen printed t-shirt. And it just had like the little STZ, like our logo that we still have. It's not even on this one. It's just
No,
like, it's like the ST and then the backwards.
I don't see that on any of these.
I don't know. We don't use it.
Oh,
always.
it's on the hat thing up there. Yeah, but you probably can't see
Yeah.
that. I'll put a little insert right
Yeah,
there.
we don't use it always anymore, but it is like
That's like
staple one. Yeah.
your official logo or whatever.
Yeah.
So we can kind of dive into, I feel like STEEZ, I don't know if you'd agree with this or not, but as a wakeboard, like, it's the core wakeboard kind of clothing brand.
Now.
Yes.
Yes.
Now.
Now,
So
yes.
how did you get here?
Okay. So, yeah, when we started, it was like every board sport. We were just like, oh, we want to be in board sports. And we really tried to get into skate and snow. That was just what we knew then. We had more connections like with App and Beach. And that was way harder to like get into, I think, just because it was already like pretty big. There were a ton of skate brands, a lot of
established
snowboard brands, and like, who are we, you know? So, I mean, we did all right, and we still do okay in those, on that side of things. But I guess it started, one of our friends was like, yo, there's this wake park opening up in in Greenville. You guys should like go meet the dude. And so we like drove out there one random weekend, and he was like, "Oh, it's Chris Hop is the dude. It's East Coast Wake Park."
Yeah.
We randomly went out there and met him, and at that point it was just a jet ski park. Like it was like a U lake, and they had rails in, like I think maybe 1 or 2 were floating, but most of them were like staked in, and they pulled with a jet ski and would just do like the loops around. And they had a contest that he wanted us to like get involved in, and then also was building a rail. It was like a big, huge box rail. It was really like kind of weird looking. You don't really see them. They're kind of like the A-frames, I guess, now, but they had like the angled sides, and then like just like a really wide, I don't know, maybe like 3 feet, like flat up, flat down.
Was it like deck board or whatever? Or was it plastic?
No, it was like plastic, like the white plastic. It was built really well, I think. I don't know. But he was like, oh, you guys should sponsor this rail. Basically, like, pay for it. And you can put your logo all over it. And at that point, we had, like, $0 to, like, we didn't even have, we were going and buying, like, cheap shirts, printing on them, and trying to sell them. So we weren't, like, an established
wasn't a budget
brand.
for that.
And there wasn't, we didn't have a marketing brand or, like, or a budget to toss around. So I don't know the exact number. Like, I should have reached out to him and found, I want to say it was like 1,000, 2,000, I don't know, something, a couple grand
to build the rails. What you paid for, basically.
He built it,
and then you kind of paid him back.
We paid, and then we got to, like, do whatever we want on it. And so we did that, and I think we paid him in, like, it probably was like a year. We were like, we'll pay you
payment plan.
$200 every month or whatever. But we went out there, me and my buddy, who has no like board sports background at all. He came and just helped me paint it, and we just taped it all crazy and just picked like 6 different bright colors and just painted it. Like, it looked cool in photos, but it's pretty bad looking back on it now.
So did you see a sharp spike in orders after that rail was painted?
I don't want to say sharp.
But in like, seriousness, did it have like was that kind of the beginning of? I mean,
it got us into wake.
Yeah.
That's like the number one reason why we're in wake. And then throughout, I think every month he did a contest in the summer. It was called like the Summer Slider Series, or, one of those names. And we would go every month and do a pop-up tent with like our product. And so that's how we would sell stuff. I mean, there wasn't like a huge crowd or anything, but there were people that would come. To buy stuff. They would buy stuff, and then that's also how we met all the riders that we now know and are like homies with. So,
okay, so was this rail called the Arc Rail? Is that okay?
Yes,
that's what Quint was saying.
It was.
Okay, so
I actually had to text him. I was like, dude, what did we used to call that rail?
I hope I can find a picture of that. I'm sure there's some floating around there. I'll put that in.
Funny story about that rail is, I don't know how long. I don't know the timeline. That East Coast Wake Park was like 2010 to 2012, I think. Fact check me, whatever.
Ish.
But it was around that time, and then Chris, it like stopped after, I don't know, 4 years. It stopped at some point, and he moved to the Philippines, and then that rail ended up in someone's lake, and like my wife's friend texted my wife and was like, why is Quint's logo on this guy's rail in the back in this random yard? That, like, she was in someone's yard and the rail was just floating in their backyard. And I have no idea how it got there or who that dude is. Like, was
East Coast Wake Park like its own lake?
Yeah, so there was the original jet ski lake, and then he had like a little 2.0 like after like a year or two of the jet ski, he got a 2.0. That was the first time I had to
get that rail out of there. They'd have to take it out of the water and put it in the water.
Yeah, they had to take it out of the water. I don't know if they like disassembled it or like, but it got into another lake.
I would love to hear the story on that, how that got there.
I know.
That's very interesting.
He would be a good one to talk to.
Chris, you're gonna come on at some point, I hope. So is this where you met Quinn and Wes, or
this is where
a bunch of riders?
We met Quinn, Terry, Jeff Mathis, dude, like some Australian, like I'm pretty sure like Brent and like the Australian dude,
like Brent Priestley.
I think him, and there was another one. I don't know. I can't remember his name. Sorry. Some Australians.
Must not be that important.
Trevor
Bashir.
I think so.
Probably.
I don't. Dude, there was a bunch. There was a bunch of dudes. Like there was a good bit of
pro. It was a big part of the scene.
Yeah, that came through.
So you start kind of hooking those guys up with clothes and stuff, or
at one point, Jeff and Quinn, I want to say Jeff probably walked up and was just like, "Hey, if you give me that T-shirt, I'll wear it." And we were like,
well, "What else would you do with it?"
And Quinn? We were like, "All right, cool. Yeah, that's cool. Like a pro wants to wear our stuff, like whatever." And like, but what was a pro back then? I don't know.
What's a pro now? We'll get into that later, actually.
But yeah, so Jeff and Quinn, I think and we would see Quinn there and like talk to him a bunch and hang out, and he was always talking about Valdosta, but like
before its inception,
it was all plans. Yeah, it was just plans, and like we're gonna be doing this. So we've been homies with him well before Valdosta even happened, which was cool.
Okay, so you meet Quinn and you're kind of hooking him up, and then is that when you're starting to dip your toes more into like the wake scene, and are you kind of realizing it's less saturated wakeboarding, so there's more of an opportunity to kind of break in?
I don't know that we actually like thought of that as like a thing. It just kind of, that's the direction it went. Like we had good connections. We were networking with all those dudes, and then that was opening up other avenues, and it just was working. And there were, at that point, there were a ton of events and like pop-ups and things happening, so we just kind of rolled with the wake. And I mean, in the summer we always sell more, so you know, you can't like set up at a snowboard. Where are you going to set up in the park and like sell stuff? People aren't riding around like, oh, let me buy this beanie or whatever.
Yeah. I do kind of want to like a somewhat serious business question. You know, were there any hurdles early on in the company, both Inkfinity and the brand, I guess, as a whole, that wouldn't be so obvious as someone, you know, who hasn't started a company that you guys experienced?
I mean,
besides the obvious ones, I guess.
If you are starting a business, like, figure out your taxes, like know how to do that and file and pay them.
Do you have some issues with that,
dude? I mean, all right. So when we started, we had no idea what we were doing. We're like, oh, we're charging people $20 a shirt or whatever, you know, like we're getting money. That's our money. You know what I mean? Like we didn't, and we were just like putting it back into the business. It's not like we knew, oh, we had to charge this amount of sales tax and then every quarter or month or whatever, however you do it, pay that. And like we were a legit business. We had an LLC way before we should have. And that was because of Inkfinity to get like a big account that we still have. We had to have like an LLC for them to pay us. And at that point we just didn't really know. We were scraping by, dude. Like I was like definitely living check to check. Like, I mean, so luckily Todd had bought a house and like we were all splitting his mortgage. And so he wasn't like a landlord, like marking it up. It was just, at that point, I think we were paying like $300 a month.
Just to pay the bills to keep it.
Yeah, which was like paying the mortgage and the bills. And like, even that was not like, dude, I was cutting it close for sure. So yeah, I mean, know your taxes. Like definitely, I would say hire an accountant like early on if you are like doing it legit. Yeah. And then some other hurdles. I mean, it's really just like stay on it. I mean, if you want to make it work, like put your all into it, and it may not take off or it may not like grow as fast as you want it to, but you could just got to keep trying it. And then, you know, if you go 10 years or 5 years and it's like just doing nothing, then yeah, like maybe switch something. But yeah, I don't know. There's not one like main hurdle. It was just like put your head down and work. And then we also were like super into it. Like I loved snowboarding, and then I learned to love wakeboarding. Like, you know, like I got into it, you know what I mean? Like it was just cool. There is a side story with East Coast Wake Park that at that point there was another brand called STEEZ. STEEZ. And they made like the really long board shorts that were like wild. They kind of remind me of like I don't know.
Capris?
No, I mean they were just like below your knee.
Oh, a little bit below your knee.
Below your knee, not the thigh bangers, you know. But they showed up. They had like a tour bus, like wrapped all wild, dude. Like what brand? I'm trying to think of the brand. Not like one, kind of like a motocross brand that was like just
Fox?
Maybe Fox-ish. It was just loud. Like a lot going on in their designs, like bright colors. And they showed up in like a tour bus wrapped with like STEEZ all over it, and then we were like STZ. And we were just kind of like looking at each other like, oh, what's up? Like we went home after that and we were like, well, I guess we got to come up with like a new name or something. Like we can't both be, you know, going. But I don't know what happened with them. We just were like, well, whatever.
Did you ever meet anyone that ran that or anything?
I think I met them there, but like didn't really like talk to them. It was just kind of like, all right, well, good luck.
Where was it? Where did you guys meet at? Do you remember?
This was at East Coast Wakeboarding.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was at East Coast. Like, but we were already a sponsor. Like, we were the
Oh,
sponsor.
you had the arc rail.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it was your part.
We were painting it while they
No
showed
way.
up. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know what happened with that brand.
It's not around anymore, so.
I don't think so.
No
But
longevity there.
that at that point, I was like, we're never ever using that word, like ever.
STEEZ?
Never. Like you stay STZ.
That's how you pronounce it.
STEEZ, but you have never seen anything with that word on it.
Not throwing those double E's in there.
Only
Absolutely not.
the abbreviation.
No vowels here,
Yeah.
only consonants. Okay, so I know I kind of mentioned it earlier, but like, when was STEEZ and Infinity, when did it turn where it was something that was beginning to make a profit and you were feeling a little bit more comfortable? You know, maybe you're getting more accounts with Infinity or clients.
Yeah.
When was that point?
2015-ish, maybe.
And when did you guys start? 2008?
9.
I mean, or 2008,
legit
9.
9. Yeah, 8
Okay.
or 9.
So it was like a good 6 years of
Just like
building it
behind
up.
the scenes grind, yeah.
And then probably breaking even for a few years there, I would imagine.
If that.
Maybe losing a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, like, we made money, but it wasn't. I mean, at that point, we were renting that 300 square foot spot. So, like, we didn't have very much overhead other than just, like, our personal bills. You know what I mean? So, we didn't have, like, a 3,000 square foot warehouse or a lot of behind the scenes money that needed to be dished out. But, like, 2015-ish, when I stopped working at Shutterfly and went full time, we did a lot of pop-ups, like market events, which is like a huge thing now. And we would go to those events as the brand, like a STEEZ Life, and people would be like, "Oh, I love this shirt. Like, who prints your stuff?" And we'd be like, "Oh, we also do Infinity. We can make your stuff." And so that, like, we still have accounts today, like from then, like breweries, bars, just other brands. I mean, we print a ton of other brand stuff. But yeah, that's when we went full time and like started making money. I don't want to say it was like a salary amount or like a living wage at that point,
But the
it
bank
was,
account was growing.
it was enough. Yeah, we were going up and
Yeah.
we were actually like not like, oh shit, we can't pay the bills this, you know. So it got legit. But without Infinity, like the brand wouldn't have made it. That's for sure.
Does the brand sustain itself on its own? Like if you were to split them off in two?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, it wouldn't be like me and Todd's salary.
Yeah.
Not, you know what I mean? Like, I would say Infinity and the brand are like 70-30.
Okay. That's a little bit more even than I honestly thought it was.
I mean, maybe 80-20.
Okay.
You know, I don't know the exact. I mean, we like in our accounting, they're just kind of both under Infinity. I mean, we have a way to run reports and like know.
Yeah.
But I don't look like,
You don't follow
as long
closely.
as we're good and we're paying our employees and ourselves, like I'm not like, oh, we need to do 50% more or whatever.
Yeah. So was it like a kind of a domino effect when you did start to crest? I feel like starting to make money. Did you see like more accounts coming in because relationships are building and your networking is like kind of growing that bubble of clients that you have?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, networking is like the biggest thing, not only for the brand, but then also for Infinity. 'Cause I mean, yeah, we make t-shirts and we print custom goods, but a lot of it is the relationship with that person. I don't know, like sometimes we'll joke and say like we're a customer service business that just happens to make t-shirts. 'Cause like really it is all customer service. Like when it comes down to it,
Yeah.
if you're not like good relationship with that person, like why are they going to order from you?
They're not going to recommend you to anyone else
Yeah,
either.
yeah, and that's how we've grown 100% is like word of mouth and just networking. Like if you do a good job for one person, they're going to tell the next guy like, "Oh, we got our shirts from them."
Yeah. So what are some big companies that you have done work for? Probably on the Infinity side, obviously, but like are there any big names or any, you know?
I mean, I don't really know, like the audience probably won't know them, but I mean, there's like Bespoke Coffee Shop is like a big one in Wilmington. Glory Days Apparel is like a huge one in Charlotte. They're like a Charlotte themed apparel company. We used to print like all that dude's stuff for a long time. We still print some, but not all of it, because he's gotten pretty big. I'm trying to. I mean, there's some big breweries that we've done work for, but a lot of it is local. I mean, we print for like not all, but a lot of the wake parks that everyone knows, like all of Terminus. We done all of Terminus for a pretty good bit. All of Valdosta. We do some of Dan and West Rock stuff, but he's got a good
Dan
homie.
likes to spread it around.
He's got a really good homie that I'm friends with too.
Yeah.
Locally, so he gets
Rockford
most
Art
of it
Deli,
there.
right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't know. We should be printing for more.
How many different products, I guess, do you not even print but create for brands?
So in-house we print T-shirts or any apparel items, and then we also do embroidery in-house, and then from that we sub out all the promo items. So like
a coffee
water
cup
bottles, coffee mugs, anything you need a logo on, like we can do. We don't really do paper stuff, like flyers or banner. I mean, we do banners, but like we don't market it that much. Stickers we do, but like there's not a ton of money in it because you can go to Sticker Mule and get 1 million stickers for $10 or whatever it is. But yeah, shirts, we offer a ton, but we try to like stay in the apparel. That's where we make the most money.
Okay.
The promo side really came from one of our big accounts that's like student housing. It's like all the colleges all over the U.S. A lot of the apartments are owned by one big company. Not all of them, but there is one company that owns a ton of properties all over the U.S., and we print for them. So like if you've been on a college campus, there's a chance you've maybe seen a shirt that we've printed.
I didn't know that. A lot of those student housing.
They buy like just marketing T-shirts with their a cool design, and then they'll go to like the student, I don't know, cafeteria or the library or whatever, and like set up and be like, here's a shirt, sign a lease with us.
That's a good deal right there. College students watching that.
Exactly.
Take your student loan, buy a boat, and then grab a free T-shirt and live in their housing. So that's a good deal. How many shirts? So I guess you can't see it here, but like, how many shirts could you put out a day if you were at max capacity? Do you have that number? Rough idea.
I mean, on average, we probably do 500 to 1,000
a day.
Yeah, if we need to. Not, I mean, that's not for the brand. That's like for other
for
people.
Infinity or anyone that's hiring you.
Yeah. I mean, like today we only did probably like 300. But so like on a 500 day, that's probably a front and a back. So that's 1,000 prints.
Yeah.
But it just depends. There's a lot that goes into, like, if it's just a little left chest, like, we can crank those out super quick. But if it's a big back print, then it goes a little slower. But yeah, I mean, we could probably do 5 to 1,000. If I really wanted to, I could probably do a couple grand, like maybe 2,000 if I was just like head down cranking. But we try to not be like a sweatshop.
Yeah,
you know?
Everybody lives a good balanced lifestyle. How many people work between the two? Or total,
so it's me and Todd. They're the 50-50 owners, and then we have 2 full-time employees.
Okay. So 4 guys total.
Which is a pretty lean team for, like, the amount that we put out.
But that means everyone kind of probably gets a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, at one point we had 3, and then 2 of them quit, and then we hired 2 others. So we're at 2 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, and those are 2 full-time guys.
We try to pay as good as we can. It's a living wage.
Living wage.
Yeah.
There you go.
Which is $16 an hour here.
Is it really?
Yeah.
What's the North Carolina minimum wage?
I think it's like $7.50.
Really?
Like 8. Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty low. It's bad. It's terrible.
That is real low.
It may be more now. I don't know. But dude, so when I started printing for the shop, I started at $8 an hour, and then I was just at the end of the dryer, like catching the shirts and folding them. And then when I became a printer, I was making $11 an hour. So like,
still not even close.
I wasn't making anything, dude.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. I would like print all day for that shop and then go to the garage and print like all night for our stuff.
Wow. I guess you probably don't have a good idea, but maybe you do, of how many hours a week you would say. Maybe, I don't know if you've slowed down now a little bit to kind of, shift responsibility and chill out a little bit, but in the thick of it there, like 2009 to 2015, 16, 17, how many hours a week do you think you were working?
I mean,
between everything.
When I was working both jobs?
Yeah.
Like
Everything.
Shoot, I don't know. Like
80,
way
90?
too much. I mean, now I would say I probably work at least 10 hours a day. Usually. Like I get here at 8, leave at 6 or 7, and then I get home and I'm still like
working
on the gram or like answering questions or like, I get hit up all the time. Like don't give out your number to everyone because they'll just text you.
Have a burner.
Yeah. I mean, even like if my mom hit me up and was like, "Hey, I need T-shirts," I'd be like, "Email me." Like I can't do this over the phone. Like I can't.
Get lost in everything.
It just gets lost. Or in the DMs, like, no,
Yeah.
I can't do orders in there. No way.
We have a website. Go to the
yeah.
fucking website.
Email me with your details. But like in the beginning too, dude, we had to say yes to everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was just like do any money that wanted to come our way, we would do it. And now we're finally at a point where it's like we can weed out customers that we don't want to work with, and we can say no to stuff, which feels good. But yeah, I probably work too much. But when you're like doing what you want and it's your thing, it's hard not to.
Well, it's always fascinating to me, like small business owners, you don't clock in, clock out. You're kind of always available to work and always working, right?
It's also like really hard to go to bed and like turn your brain off with thinking about like the next day or what I want to be doing. Cause I do like my biggest thing this year and the next year is like to try and delegate more and like bring on another person that would free me up to work in the business or on the business, not in the business as much. I don't know. I mean, it's hard though, dude, cause no one's going to care as much as I care. So I don't know. I don't think I'm like super hard. I'm really easy to work here. Like it's very chill, but I am like pretty picky on quality. Like I try to put out the best stuff. So I don't know. It's hard to find like someone else that would care that much.
I don't know if there's anything you wanted to touch on like the business side of STEEZ and Infinity that we didn't already kind of cover.
I don't know. I mean, at one point we were probably in, I don't know, 10 different stores. Like the brand was being carried by 10 different retailers.
Like retailers in malls or like skate and snow shops or both?
A little bit, not really mall, but like Ambush was like a big one in Atlanta.
Yeah.
There's a couple like smaller. At one point we were in like Black Sheep, which was like a pretty core skate shop in Charlotte. Some of the smaller like Icy Wakes and we were at Apski and their like pro shop and stuff. We were in I felt like that was a good amount.
Yeah.
And we're still in like a few small like stores if they hit us up. But at one point I just kind of was like, retail sucks. Like every store has different requirements and you're selling it to them for like half the cost. So there's like not as much margin. So direct to consumer was
you're
like
cutting out.
way better. And that's kind of where we were like, let's not, like everyone thinks, oh, I want to be in, like it does kind of legitimize your brand if people are seeing it in stores.
Yeah,
like I get that. And like that's what our mindset was in the beginning. And then we were just kind of like, that doesn't make sense. Like if you just go and do the pop-ups, if you like meet, like I would go to Terminus for a weekend or Valdosta or, wherever and like meet the kids and be like, yo, dude, whatever. Like I printed all this and it was way more return than like being in Ambush. You know what I mean? Like it was dope. I was stoked when we were in Ambush. But I don't know. Direct to consumer was like we switched for sure and just went heavy on like Instagram and like online sales, and then like doing pop-ups.
And that's cutting out the middleman, making a lot more.
Yeah.
more
And
for the
I
brand.
mean, and then also too, since we print everything, we have more margin. Whereas like a lot of people are paying us to make their stuff and then reselling it.
Mm-hmm.
So I like hats off to those people that don't make their own and then sell it for $30-$40, you know, to like make a good margin. I don't know. Like, I don't know if our brand would survive. Like, if we can make what we need. You know what I mean? Like, we don't
Yeah,
have
you
to
don't have to-
guess as much. I mean,
Yeah.
we do. Like, when we drop a new line, I'll, you know, print 40 of one thing and hope that it does well so that we're not just sitting on blank or, you know, printed goods. But we don't have to dive in to get like hundreds so that your margins are better.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but there is a good point to like kind of legitimizing the brand if you see it in a retail shop, and I'm sure early on that probably meant a little bit more than it does now.
For
I would
sure.
imagine.
You also get eyes that may not see it because they're in there and they're like, oh, if they're next to whatever brand, like
Yeah,
they must be legit.
self-taught teachers,
Yeah.
legit. I do want to talk about how you met Wes, because we kind of went over how you met Quinn. I want to talk about how did you meet Wes?
So I'm pretty sure that it was like 2013-ish, I believe. Wes was at Trophy Lakes.
At the Wake and Flake?
Yeah, so
That's what I was checking.
yeah, Davey was one of Wes's buddies, who was running Chucktown. It was like a brand in Charleston. And he hit us up. I don't know. I can't remember if he reached out to me or my buddy Rick, who works at App and Beach. And they were trying to host a contest that was Wake and Flake. And so it was like half wakeboarding and then half snowboarding, like both like rail jam style. And they hit us up at the app because we knew the snow side. And so they were like, hey, can you guys come down here for the weekend and like help us do the snow side of things? And so me and like two of my buddies that were diggers on the mountain, we like brought the snow like raking tool to, it was like March. So it was like 60 degrees, 70, it might have been hot, might have been like 80, I don't know. I mean, we were wearing shorts and t-shirts, and we drove all the way to Charleston with that and helped them set up Wake and Flake. So like while the wakeboard contest was going on, me and my buddies are in the back of we had like an assembly line going. There was a huge truck filled with bags of ice, and like we were passing it down the line. My one buddy was just like jacked, like tossing bags of ice to me, and then I was throwing him into this chipper, and then Todd was sitting there like with the thing just like spraying ice and like shit, just slush like all over.
Dirty slush.
And it was it was flat ground. You started on pine straw and then they had a winch.
Oh boy.
And so it was like flat, and then I think they had built like a little stage. It was like up, flat, and then two bike handrails. Like not round. Like they were like weird and like came to like a sharp point almost. Like they were so sketch. So you like went up onto the platform, and then
It was like a downhill coming off.
Not even down, it was just flat off.
Oh.
Like just flat off. And then or I think there was like an incline round bar, just like a up, and then you like aired off of it, or a kicker. It was maybe like 3 or 4 feet, and the landing was pine straw with a carpet on top of it with a little bit of snow on top, dude. And we were trying to tell Davey, like, dude, we can't build a kicker. Like, it's not, do not build a kicker. He was like, the fans.
I was about to say, it's for the fans.
The fans need it, dude.
They need the rail.
And
They need the kicker.
We ended up building it. Everyone was hitting the rails and the up. It actually worked pretty well. I mean, there's a video. Like, I think it might be on my Vimeo, which like, dude,
If there is, I'll put some of that.
you
footage
should
in.
go on our Vimeo and look at like super old videos.
I was watching some old stuff. I don't remember seeing any Wake and Flake, but if that's up there, I'm gonna.
It may not be on
throw
our
that in.
Vimeo, but I think
I can find it.
Yeah, ask Wes, he'll know. But anyway, so we're down there, doing that. At one point, Davey hit the kicker, tried a backflip. It's in the video. Eats it so hard, like does the backflip, goes for the tuck.
The old tuck
and
on the
then
knee.
just looks like he hits a wall and just like opens up and just reverse taco, like smashes himself. But since it was on pine straw and carpet, he was good.
He was all right. It's just like
away.
wakeboard.
But I guess Wes ended up winning. I think he won both. Like he
Really?
won both of them.
Dual sport athlete Wesley Mark Jacobson.
Yeah, and so he ended up getting like we used to make like custom cut and sew hoodies that were like a little bit longer, not like super long, but they were a little bit longer.
So they fit him normally.
Yeah. So it looked normal on him. It actually looked like a medium on him, but he won that and then won a bunch of cash and other random prizes. And I think he won a like bar tab at the after party. And when we went there, he's like, I mean, Wes, he's like down. He was like, at this point too, it was like Charleston Wes, and he was like party mode for sure. He spent the whole round in one order. Just like
Love it.
100 Irish car bombs or something. Like it was something like
absurd.
that, dude. Yeah, like 100 Irish car bombs right now. Like, let's go. I think I ended up having like 2 or 3 of them because they were just like passing them out all over. And then from there we ended up going and just sticker bombing like the entire bar, and then cop cars and like
With STEEZ Life stickers.
Dude, and they were like the shitty paper ones, so like they don't come off well. The dude who owns the bar called Davey the next day and was like, someone's coming back in here and taking these stickers off because this is fucked. Like I feel so bad. I mean, but we were just in straight party mode at that point.
2-3 car bombs deep at least.
Yeah. I mean, we had been
Plus
drinking all day, dude. It was like, I think it was, everyone was wearing green. So it was like St. Patrick's Day.
It was probably St. Patty's Day, yeah.
I think it was St. Patty's Day weekend or something. I mean, it was a big event. Like, kudos to them because that was, you go to some wake events and there's like 12 people and then the riders.
Yeah.
12 is like a generous number, I think, sometimes.
Some contests, yeah. That's a very generous number.
There was like hundreds of people. There's like food trucks and it was it was a good event.
Yeah. You got to bring beer and food trucks.
It also was warm, like super warm.
Yeah,
but it was weird. It was dope. But
okay,
yeah,
so that's when you met Wes, though.
that's how we met Wes. That was the first time we met him. Like he didn't like start riding for us or like we weren't like homies at that point. We just knew him, and then I honestly don't even know. I think we just maybe crossed paths a few more times, maybe at like Surf Expo, and then
Did you go to Surf Expo?
Yeah, we had.
Did you have a booth?
We had the booth 2 years.
Really?
It was not worth it.
I do want to hear about that.
1,000% not worth it.
How much did it cost?
Shit, dude. Like I think just the booth was like $5,000
For
like just
the weekend?
Space. Yeah.
Wow.
And then you have to fly people down there. Or we drove. We used to have a dope van.
Yeah, the STEEZ Life van, right? Or is it a different one?
Did you ever see the original one? The blue one?
No, I didn't see the blue one. The gray one I saw. Or
The green,
whatever.
the army green one? Yeah.
I'm colorblind.
You saw the Astro van. That one was dope. But our original van was like a 88 conversion van. Like the ones that the back seat turned into a bed and then it had like the swivel chairs in the middle. That thing was, it had like the submarine windows on the top. Like it was pretty bad. It had no AC. There's a couple of videos I think of us in there and we were just dying, dude, like hot, going from like Jib. We did like a whole tour from Jib to Terminus and then to like some boat contest in Gunnersville.
Yeah. So what was that tour called? I think I have that.
Hot roasted nuts or something.
Yeah, hot roasted nuts. I think that's what it was.
Our boy Ian, right? Yeah, that was Ian who made that edit. He was out in Colorado now. He was the boy.
I just have it written down as a STEEZ van tour. So I think I saw a graphic.
Yeah, I think it was
the
like
Hot Roasted Nuts
me
tour.
and Quinn
I saw Wes. I think.
and Wes, and then 2 skaters, and then Ian. And like I think a couple. I mean, because we were at Jeff, I think was there for the Terminus one, and then like obviously some of the Jib people. That was a fun one.
So what was the? I mean, like who came up with the idea to do that tour, and what was the point of it?
We just wanted to go film and like have a team edit, I guess. We kind of jumped ahead though, because at this point, I don't know that we really had a team. Like it was just kind of like homies. I mean, I guess Quinn and Jeff were like some of the original. We used to, I think Sam Baker was one of the originals who's like in the Blue Footed Boobies. Do you know that band?
No. Sounds awesome though.
They're from Wilmington. But he used to wakeboard. He was like in the scene for a while, like East Coast. He's the drummer now. I think they played at like Jeff Mathis's wedding.
Oh.
And then I think Clark, the Cahoots, I think they used them in their edit for Space Tapes. Pretty sure. Fact check.
We'll fact check that.
But yeah, so we didn't really have a team. I ran into Wes a bunch just throughout different contests or like different events, Surf Expo. And like, I think he was writing for Elevated Clothing at one point, which that I'm just going to say he was writing for Elevated Clothing. And then we went to the bar one time and I was like, nah, like, you're right for us now, dude. Like, come on. Like, let's be real. No hate, but you know,
they're not around anymore, are they?
I don't think so, but I don't know.
Could have rebranded to STEEZ.
Tweez.
So when was that you talked to him? You know, he's riding for Elevated. Probably
I don't know,
really,
maybe like
probably had a really baggy neon yellow T-shirt on that had Elevated on it. I'd imagine.
2000. I don't know. 15 to 18. 15 to 16. I don't know. 2015.
It's got to be 15 because 16,
yeah,
17
yeah,
is
I
like
guess, yeah.
getting into Valdosta, and I think they're all repping STEEZ at that point, right?
Yeah.
At least when the full size opened, they were for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
So
Because we were there at the 2.0.
Okay.
So, all right. It was when Wes was working at, or right before he went to Jib, maybe. So I don't, whatever year that was. Because Wes was working at Jib, and since that's pretty close to us, that is when we really like linked up with Wes and became good homies, and then also started repping us.
So what's that look like? You're like, he's probably just getting clothes from Elevated and you're just sending him clothes.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been like a super battle of how we do that and like what a team rider is. I mean, as a small brand, like we didn't have shit. Like we couldn't be like, oh, here's a budget, or like here's $1,000 a month, or here's anything a month. It was like, here's free stuff. Hit us up if you're doing a contest and we'll pay your entry fee.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like we would do what we could if they were like had a plan to do a video or whatever. Like we would definitely throw in what we could. But also like, it's just really hard to really know, like come up with a number and then also like see an ROI on that. And I don't know how the big companies do that shit, and like how I guess they just sell so much that it's like doesn't matter. But it's really tough to like figure out, because I would love to pay everyone. Like I would love to have a friggin' budget for everyone. That would be amazing. But like, that's basically, I don't know, with Wes and Quinn and them, like they for sure helped the brand. And like, I know that. I know there's an ROI on them for sure. But like, I just don't know what it is. So like, we've just always done what we could to like help them out.
Yeah. We can get in a little bit later, like the importance I think Wes and Quinn have had on the brand, because it sounds like, you know, I think they've had a huge
for sure
impact on it, Space Mob and Wes
sure.
and Quinn. But
I think we're like right now, I think we're at the point of, we had met Wes. That was Trophy Lakes era. And then now, when was Jib? When did Jib open?
If Dylan Mead was here, he'd be able to tell us.
He would. whatever year that was, like that is when I think we really got into wake more, because I think, another fact check, pretty sure we filmed the first edits from Jibtopia with Quinn, Matt Deal, who was a wake skater, Sam Baker, and maybe Jeff.
Was Clark there at all?
Clark was there. He just wasn't in the edits. Like, we just did like us going there, and those are just dudes that I knew, and they were like doing random contests, and we filmed. At one point at Surf Expo, someone, I think it was someone at Alliance, was like, "I appreciate you filming." Like, we were pumping them content.
Alliance
at one point, or like all of them, all of the like wake sites at that point. Like, we were giving them content, and not like I don't, you know what I, like I didn't know what that even meant. I wasn't like, hey, I want to be paid for this, which I think some people do now, or like you could see a return on YouTube, which some people do. We were just like making content to make content and to hope that people saw the brand in it.
Like
And
the STEEZ Life logo was at the front or whatever.
Yeah,
Everyone was wearing the clothes.
But I'm pretty sure we had the first edit. I could be wrong. But Jib, when it first opened, I mean, that was pretty dope. Like it was wild looking. You know, like if the aesthetic was really cool, and like the bi-levels. And then I don't know, meeting Clark and all the Alex and them, like,
I'm excited to talk to Clark about Jib, because I know he's there.
I'm not the one you need to talk to for that. Like, I was there during a lot of it, and like had an amazing time. It was super rad to like see that park do well in the beginning. But yeah, that was a fun time for sure. Like going out there and camping and just partying. I mean, that's basically what it was. It was just like a party out there.
It was a good spot from what I've heard.
Yeah. You never got to go?
No. That was before my time, for the most part.
True. I guess I'm an old head now.
Yeah, you are an old head now.
I'm trying to think what else. Like, what other parks? I mean, that's when we met Clark and Morgan, and he was always talking about Elevated. I don't know where Valdosta 2.0 falls with Jibtopia. Like, I don't know if there's any overlap or... well, there's got to be an overlap, but I don't know which one was first. I would assume Jibtopia.
Yeah, Jibtopia. I mean, if I'm wrong, Quinn's gonna have my head, but I'm almost positive Jibtopia was first.
I should know. I should definitely know, but I don't.
I
don't know, dude. It's all blur now. I mean, that was over. I don't know how long ago was that.
10 years. I mean,
something like that.
8 years ago, 6 years ago, 20 years ago.
And then there was always Quinn talking about Valdosta, and from day one of them opening, like, we were always going down there. I mean, that's like a 8 to 10 hour drive for us. So like we would always drive down there, go for a weekend or like sometimes a week, but help them throw contests, throw in what we could for like at least prizes. But I mean, we would try and throw in cash or like get other. At one point, like I had a homie that worked for Dockers, and like we went and filmed some like Dockers photos and stuff at the old Valdosta. I don't know if they ever used it or like, I don't know. We just got free pants.
Just like B-roll of you guys walking around in pants and stuff.
Yeah. There's like photos of Quinn like up on the lifeguard thing with.
Oh, those would be gold.
Yeah.
Wish we had those.
I don't know. We might be able to drum them up somewhere.
I'll talk to Quinn.
I'm trying to think. I don't know, dude. There's like so many random memories that are popping up into my head from back then. But yeah, the 2.0 Valdosta days was fun. I mean, it was very different than what it is now.
How so?
I mean, just it was like that little pro shop that they had. You never went there in the old days, so it was like a little. I think originally it was like a garden shop, or I don't know what it was, but there was that building there already. That when you pass,
right at the beginning,
right in the beginning, like that was there, and they just used that as the pro shop. Like we used to come and like we would sleep in there because we like I don't know, we didn't have anywhere else to stay. And there wasn't like the camping and all the I mean, people camped, but there wasn't all that they have now. And it was just, I don't know, it was just different. Like they had that big wall ride. Did you ever see that thing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, Quinn's got to tell you that whole story, but that came from like a trade show. they had a 2.0 set up at a trade show and had that wall ride set up. And while Quinn was hitting it, the pool busted and like flooded the trade show. That's a story that Quinn's going to have to tell you for sure. But like my dad actually runs trade shows. And he hit me up and was like, "Did you hear about the flooding at the boat show?"
Yeah, that was my buddy.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, I know them." Yeah, that's a good one for Quinn to tell you for sure. He was like, I mean, I can't imagine being in the stand. Like the pools are like, I don't know, what, 3-4 feet?
Yeah.
And then like it all rushed out. And then he's just standing in there like with his board
Is it indoor
on.
trade show?
Yeah, it was an indoor trade show. So that's wild. But that they moved that to Valdosta 2.0, and it was I never hit that thing. Like, no way, dude.
You're not gonna hard 50 that.
No, there ain't no hard 50 in that thing. No way. I would die. But there's some rad shots. I think like Blake Bishop has some cool.
There's a lot of good videos of
cool
that.
shots of there.
Kind of like undercover videos. I feel like a lot of people haven't seen of that old 2 tower.
Yeah, they had like the drum barrels as like an up to a flat corrugated.
Mhm.
Like that was always cool. And then just like some other box stuff, but that's the first time I ever rode a cable. Was that one?
Really?
Yeah. I didn't ride cable for a long time, dude. I was always going there and popping up. I was always busy. I always wanted to, but then I was
Slinging merch.
also terrified of making an ass of myself. Like,
Here I am, this guy, like, slinging all this clothing.
And then, like, oh, you should be sick. And, like, I'll go out there and ride now because I don't really care. I don't need to impress anyone.
Yeah.
But back then I was, like, pretty scared. Especially at, like, jib or, like, there wasn't
those
that
are
many,
gnarly.
like, easy features.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah. I don't know. Where do we go now?
I think we shift to you chaperoning the winch trip through the Midwest for the Coalition, the movie.
Oh, the
First one.
longest road trip of my life.
How long was it?
I don't know. It felt like a month, but I think it was like 5 days, 6 days. Like by the end of it, me and Wes hated each other.
Really?
We were just, no, we didn't hate each other. It was just
I mean, you're just in a car together and.
Yeah, everyone has their own routines and like what they want to do in the morning, and there's miscommunication. So, but no, that was super fun, dude. Like that, again, that was something that like I was like, we can't pay everyone, but like I'll pay for gas and hotels and stuff, and we'll all drive y'all to, I mean, dude, we went, I don't even know how many miles we put on that van. I mean, we had to get a new transmission like a few months after that. But yeah, that was a trip, dude. It was, who was it? Me, Quinn, Wes. Who am I forgetting? Terry? No.
Had to be somebody else. Terry, probably. Maybe.
Was it Terry?
I don't know.
Dude.
You were in the van with
My
them.
memory
You were in the van with these guys.
I don't smoke or anything, dude. Like, my memory is going. I'm too busy working on everyone else's stuff. I don't know. So there's someone else
Yeah.
that came. Brock was there, Quinn's dog.
Okay.
He rode with us. Jeff Mathis was supposed to come, but couldn't. And thank God he bailed because the van there was no space. Like, if he would have showed up, we would have had to take in 2 cars.
This was in the newer van.
This is the Astro van. So we took out the 3rd row, and it was me, Wes, Quinn, and a mystery person.
Did this person have a part in the movie? Who is this person?
They had to have.
Who is this person?
Was it Cole? Was
Cole
Cole
didn't have a
part of
part.
it?
No, I don't think so. This is really gonna bug me.
It's making me really mad. I'm about to text ask him. No, anyway, so there was 4 of us and the dog, and then we had a roof rack fully packed with like it was Cole. It was Cole.
It was Cole?
It was Cole. 100%.
So he didn't get a lot of clips. He was just filming and taking a lot
No.
of photos.
He got some clips during the trip, but not. I don't know that. I think he was probably in the friends section or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it was Cole, 100%.
Okay, gotcha.
I just remembered a few spots from it. Like there was like a cop station, and then there was a building, and we were on the other side of the building. Flat ground, brick start, just on the brick, start into like the stop sign.
I mean, it was a down rail to the water.
Yes.
Yeah. Where
Yeah.
Quinn just got destroyed, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I know the clip
Yeah.
you're talking about.
But that, like, we were doing some heavy stuff on that trip, and that was my first winch trip, and dude, it was wild. Like, a lot goes into it. Like, respect to everyone that does all those winch missions, because that is wild, and especially going from North Carolina all the way up to, I mean, we went to West Rock, and so we did, like, I mean, Quinn has, like, an entire Google map of, like, every spot that potentially, if there's, like, a little dot that he thinks could be water, like, we were driving miles out of the way. Like, we could have got there in probably, like, 13 hours, but it took us, like, 30.
Well,
Like,
you gotta see all the
maybe
spots.
more. No, for sure. And, like, we would go to a spot, and then they'd be like, I don't know. Like, maybe we'll come back to it. We'll come back to it.
Yeah, come back.
We did.
Really?
That big triple drop one from the dam, we came back to that one.
Where was that?
I have no idea. But it's like they started in the tunnel,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
like went down the like 5 or 6 big steps. Like that one, I'm pretty sure we came back to. But yeah, there was a ton of.
Did you get a ticket at any of the spots?
We did get a ticket.
Who got the ticket?
I got it.
You got the ticket.
Yeah, I got it. So, gas, hotel bills, tickets. I mean, it wasn't that bad. I think it was like, I don't know, a couple $100. And they got us they didn't get us for anything other than the van being parked where it was, even though like where we were already had like tire marks from the park ranger dudes that going there. And so we were trying to argue that like this obviously is an access road. And they were like, well, you can't, you're in a whatever. I don't know if we were in a national park or what it was, but in some sort of state park, and we couldn't be tires on the grass.
So that's what they got you for, not wakeboarding.
Not wakeboarding.
So it was just like a parking ticket?
Pretty much. But it was like, I want to say it was like $200, something like that.
Oh, it's pretty steep.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in a park, I guess.
Yeah. That was a good one, though. I feel like they all got some pretty heavy
So it was
clips.
worth it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes it is worth it.
Yeah.
You got to pay the price. You got to pay the piper.
I'm trying to think. You're going to have to check with them. I don't know that we got, like, fully kicked out of anywhere.
Really?
Like, I feel like there were some that we had to rush on and, like, kind of be stealth. But, I mean, there was one, I think, near Chicago that was, like, a full-on public park and, like, hundreds of people were around. And we had the winch all the way across the pond. And they were, like, dropping in on this part, going under a bridge, and then a ramp up onto a handrail, and then into the pond. There's a few clips. There's got to be, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe it didn't make it. But, there was hundreds of people around, and some people were, like, the winch, this was before the winches were, like, stealth. Like, it was so loud, dude. It was so
winches,
loud. Yeah. And, like, I don't know how we didn't get like at least a ticket or kicked out of that one or arrested. Who knows? Like there were a couple of people that were like, "You guys shouldn't be swimming in there. There's like needles and there's been people dead in here."
Did a naked chick ever ask you for a ride on that trip?
At that,
not that spot, just during the trip.
No, at that one that we went back to with like the
That's
5
where it was.
drops. It was like a spillway from a pond or whatever. And it came down into where they were starting. And at one point, I think I was filming from the bottom, and I kept seeing, like, a head, like, pop up above the, like, where the water was spilling over. And I was like, what the hell is that? And then she jumped, like, it was, like, probably a 10 or so foot jump, like, down into the water where it was spilling in. And then I was, like, yelling up at whoever, I think it was Quinn maybe, who was riding. I'm like, who is that? Like, is that a human? Like, what is that? And then she gets up and she's just fully naked, like fully, and is like having a conversation with Quinn. And we're all just like, what is that? Like, I was like, what is going on, dude? Where are we? I went back to the truck or the van, and she was like coming down towards all the rest of us down there. And I went and grabbed a t-shirt and was like, can you put this on, please? Like, this is so awkward. But she did ask for a ride. We were going the other direction than what she wanted to. Yeah. Yeah. And
Well, she's like, if you give me this shirt, I'll wear it, right? Like Quint said.
We gave her the shirt.
She wore it.
She walked off with it. So there's some random hippie naked chick walking around with a.
She was naked, just in a park in a body of water.
Dude, I don't know where we were. It was wild. That was wild for sure. Who gave you that one? Who brought that one up?
I can't reveal my sources on these. Did all the guys kind of treat you like a grumpy old dad the whole time?
For sure, dude. I mean, yeah, I got grumpy. I definitely got grumpy, dude. I would be like up and ready to go and like, let's go knock some clips out or like whatever. And I'm not like a breakfast. I don't immediately wake up and want to eat food. And I think Quint or Wes is that or wanted to. Yeah, he would get hangry and I'd be kind of just like annoyed.
Let's go.
Like, let's just do this. And then I think what the breaking point was, I was driving to West Rock and we didn't stop and get food. And if you've ever been to West Rock, it's not like there's just food everywhere. Like, you have to go like the right way and like plan where you're going. And so we're like pulling up at the park and then Wes is just like, dude, why don't we, like, we need food. And I was just like, I think I just went off and I was like, you go take the fucking van. Like, you go get food, dude. Like, I'm done with this. I'm going to go sit over here. Like, you guys can ride. I don't know. I was over it at that point. That was probably because that was our last stop, like all the way up. And I think we stopped like one more or two more spots on the way down. Yeah. That was a long trip.
Productive though.
It was. They got some good clips. It was worth it. I put in my hours. I don't know that I would do it again. I would. It was fun, dude. I like hanging out with
those. Are guys. Always, hindsight. It's always worth it. They're going to be like,
good stories, good memories. Like, it was fun. I mean, those dudes are definitely like homies for life, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of them, I guess it'd be a good time to pivot towards how big of an impact they've had, Quinn, Wes, Space Mob, that kind of whole movement on the brand as a whole.
A pretty big one. I don't know for sure, but like meeting Quinn, well, so first off, like doing the East Coast Wake Park, like we wouldn't be in Wake if we didn't do that. And then we met Quinn and some of the other guys and like that kept us in it. You know what I mean? Like with Quinn having Valdosta as a plan and then us being in it from the ground up, like that kept us in it 100%. So they've definitely like, for sure, dude. Like I've always like loved those dudes and always tried to do as much as we can. I mean, I wish the brand would be like, go buy a bunch of shit and maybe we can pay them more and like hook them up. But, I don't know. I wish there was like analytics on that somehow of like how, but I mean, it's a no-brainer. Like there's no way they haven't. Yeah. Because look at them even. Like look at how they've grown from, they were in some videos and magazine shots here and there, but they never, like, who would have known that they like would have their own boards and their own like crew and like all that,
3 movies, all that.
Yeah, a lot of hard work put into it, and I mean they've been killing it.
So do you print like Space Mob gear? Like,
so yeah, I mean Wes and them obviously started it, and then he was always hitting me up to print for, and then he would order just like any other customer through Inkfinity. I mean, obviously it's through the brand too, but like in the beginning it was just him doing it and ordering from me, and then he was selling it however he was selling it. And then the last like year or two, I guess it's been 1 year. Yeah, it was a year like from this month last time. He hit me up and was just like, dude, like he's busy doing a lot. He was like, Space Mob's doing well. Like you should just take it over as far as like the printing and put it on your site so that it's like they can go and get STEEZ and Space Mob. And then since we were already printing it, it just made sense.
Just ship it out of
here. So essentially we're doing like like fulfillment for Space Mob.
Gotcha.
Like
Okay.
I print it and ship it through our stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it just took I mean, it's more work for me to do all of it, but it in turn also brings some eyes that may not be seeing our stuff. Like
Yeah.
a lot of times people are ordering both, not just one. So that
Makes
was
it easier
a
for them to
bonus for sure.
order both, too.
But it also took a load off of Wes from like having to deal with shipping all of it and dealing with all the customers, and I mean that's a lot.
Well, he's always on the go too. It's not, he's not gonna be around shipping stuff.
Yeah.
He's
And
traveling
like
all the time.
I mean, having the merch everywhere you go, that's a big task in itself,
Yeah.
Like doing the pop-ups and doing markets, and I mean, even just staying on top of the marketing side of things, which I'll probably call Wes after this. Like, we got to get on the same page again, dude, because we didn't drop anything this last one for the winter.
Yeah.
We'll add some Space Mob stuff here in a little bit.
There you go. How many times a month do people ask you to sponsor them?
A month?
Yeah.
I mean, it's slowed down a little bit recently.
I guess in the peak kind of summer, like.
I mean, there's some times where it's like daily.
Really?
And then
What does that message look like?
Dude, it goes anywhere from
Spons, please? Question mark?
Sponsor question mark to like full on, this is what I've been doing. I've won this. I've won that. I can do a 360. Like there's some people that hit you with like a trick list and like put in some work. And then there's other people that literally just ask sponsor question mark. Don't do that. just don't. I appreciate that you're asking me, and I'm glad that you like the brand, but also like, not even just me, just don't do that to any brand. Like, let's be real. I grew up wanting to be sponsored by everyone, and I would definitely hit people up for stickers, 100%. Like, I used to email Air Blaster and like every company, any company, and be like, "Oh, I just got a new board. I want stickers for or a new car," And they would either be like, "All right, what's your address? Send us a stamped envelope and we'll throw stickers in it," or go to the website. Here's like $5 sticker pack or whatever, So I totally I get it and I appreciate it, but like just straight up DMing someone to be sponsored, that's not how it works. And that might be a hot take. I don't know. I may be hurting some people's feelings, but like,
no, a little reality
it's not
bomb,
how
I think
it works,
is good.
dude. It's not how it works.
Makes sense.
You should I don't even know. I feel like me, you, and Dan just need to sit here and.
Oh, I'd love to cruise through some DMs. That would be fun.
I mean, I'm not trying to like hate on anyone for doing it.
No. I think this is good for some people to hear. I mean,
it's just
kids.
like, I don't know, dude. Also, like, some people, the main one, the number one is like, I love your brand. What do I need to do to be sponsored or sponsored ? And then I will go in and be like, have they ever ordered anything? And then like number one, like strike right there.
If you haven't ordered anything, you're off.
You
the
love
list.
the brand.
Yeah, you really love the brand.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. It's whatever. To each their own. If you can get sponsored that way, I'm sure that it works on some brands because they're just like, oh, we can throw stuff at whoever. You know what I mean? But not here.
Not in this house. So, okay, what would it take then for someone to get, hooked up by STEEZ?
I mean, I feel like we hook up a good bit of people, even people that aren't sponsored. Like, if you have a good, it's not all about your online presence. That does help. But if you're riding a bunch and you're having fun and like you're not expecting, your goal isn't like, oh, I need to be sponsored or I want to be sponsored. Like, I would much rather hook up that kid than like kids that are riding one park, putting the same clip of them at that one park up and then expecting to be sponsored.
Yeah.
That's like when we did the space tapes thing. Like, I posted ours and was like, if you're not better than me, don't ask me to be sponsored. Because that happens, dude. It's like a kid. I don't want to crush anyone's dreams, but like, dude, you can't just because you do that sport doesn't mean you're going to get sponsored. And you need to realize that at some point. Like, you can have fun and you can like progress in it, but like being sponsored shouldn't always be the goal. You should just want to like get better for yourself and your friend. You know what I mean? Like, ride with kids that are better than you and like progress. And then maybe it'll happen, you know, like if you're doing the right things. Like, I mean, there is some stuff you could do. You can go to contests. That's not the number one thing. There's plenty of people that get sponsored that are not doing contests. But like, you got to have something to also show that brand like why they should sponsor you. Because back in the day, those people were getting sponsored, like snowboarding or wakeboarding or whatever, because they were selling, like they were pushing that you're going to get free stuff, and then you might like tag us, and then what? Your friends are going to also want free stuff. Like, it does, you know what I mean? Like, there's not that, like, it just doesn't work like that anymore. Like it used to when, you know, they were sponsoring big dudes like Parks, or even like those dudes. Like, they were probably selling tons of whatever brand they were wearing.
Just because they were wearing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's just not like that. I mean, for some people, it definitely, I mean, like with Quint and them, like that helps that when they're wearing our stuff or Space Mob, or even their own, you know, like Valdosta gear, they're definitely selling it. But like just any kid at any park, I don't know that it works. And and then also, like, we can't sponsor everyone. There can't just
and no one's going to buy anything.
Exactly. We got to have customers at some point. I mean, at one point, we did sponsor Blake when he was like pretty young. Yeah, Blake Bishop. And I had the thought, like selfishly, because he was a customer and he would always buy a bunch of stuff, that I was like, damn, we're going to lose this kid as a customer.
We're going to lose this client.
Yeah. So I don't know, dude. I would love to sponsor everyone. I would love to sponsor more people. But we've been burned a lot. Like, we have sponsored kids, sent boxes of stuff to kids, and then you just see nothing.
Really?
Yeah, you see nothing. Like, maybe they'll tag us in something, or like, we get hit up by photographers too a lot. Like, they'll be like, ooh, I'm going on this trip. Send me some stuff and I'll get you content. You know, I'll get you photos you can post. And then
radio silence.
Nothing.
Yeah.
We have gotten some. Some have paid off for sure. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough, dude. Like, you definitely, that's my least favorite part. Probably.
Really?
Probably.
Because on the outside looking in, that would almost be, you know, in my eyes, like one of the funnest parts, until probably it sounds like you get in the nitty gritty of it and you're like, well, now this isn't very fun anymore.
I don't know. I mean, I'm very humbled by the growth and like that people are even interested in being sponsored by us, but like it gets tough, dude, to like, also, how do you tell some of these kids without crushing them? Like, I try to be nice, but also I do mess with some of them.
I can tell you right now, it's really not super complicated. If you want to be sponsored, don't focus on being sponsored, because brands like STEEZ don't look for people who are just hungry to, you know, get sponsored, and that's all they're focused on. It's like a lifestyle brand. So you're focused on people who enjoy being outside, doing activities, and spreading that lifestyle.
Yes. 2,
you want to provide value to any company that you're going to get sponsored by. It's not rocket science. I'm not the first person to say it. It's pretty obvious. You got to provide value. So if you're not providing value, kick rocks. I mean, for the most part, you're not going to, no company's going to want anything to do with you if you're not providing value. You're there to sell their product. That's basically what you are, a salesman for them. So sounds like kind of what, you know, that's the harsh reality of it. But yeah, it's not going to hurt to ask to get sponsored, but don't have your heart broken when someone says no.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean stop, you know, wakeboarding or snowboarding, skateboarding. Keep doing it.
Don't stop.
Do it because you love it.
But also support some of the brands that you want to be sponsored by as well.
100%. Because if Quint looks through that order history, he doesn't see your email, you're shit out of luck. I guess, I mean, you probably don't know this number exactly, but how many people would you say currently you're helping out, you know, giving gear or whatever? Rough estimate.
I don't know, dude. Maybe like 10.
Like on a consistent, like.
Yeah, I mean,
basis.
At one point, dude, I felt like it was like 20.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, it just, it's tough because you drop new stuff and you're like trying to sell it and make money to then also put back into the company and then also help out the riders. But then you get hit up by everyone like, oh, can I get this? Can I get that? Can I get that? You know, it's definitely, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
But I do have like a list right now on that I need to send. So
is that kind of how you do it? You have a list of like.
Yeah, I mean, also like I'll hit up. There's a few people that don't ride for us that I'll just like hit up and be like, yo, what's your address? Like, and just send them some stuff.
Yeah.
But they also order as well. Like they return favors and then they'll tag us and give us content as well. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know, dude. That's such a like weird subject to talk about too, of just how it all works and like how you, because everyone's different as well. Like there's going to be some kids that like I'll send them something like once or twice, and then there's other kids where I'll send them stuff throughout the season, and then if they need help with money like for contests or travel, like I'll do it. It doesn't hurt to ask if we are flowing you.
Yeah, if you're
it doesn't
in a
hurt
good relationship.
And then there's like other dudes that like we're paying as much as we can when we can. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's tricky because you're not a board brand with like a locked-in team of people with contracts and stuff. Because it's just not, not realistic to do that either. But
yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I would love to like sit down with another brand and see. I mean, obviously we're not like 686 or
Billabong or
like some big brand that has like the budgets, but I would love to talk to like, I don't even know another one,
like a smaller, more niche apparel brand in board sports
and just kind of like riff on like, yo, what do you guys do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
can learn a lot.
Because I also don't see a ton of other brands tagged, and maybe that's just, I mean, obviously I'm seeing what we're getting tagged in, but then I do see other like wake riders, and they're not, I don't, they may not be sponsored by us or anyone else. So like, are they out there? Like, are there other wake brands? I don't know.
I mean, that's what I kind of said at the beginning. It's like, it kind of seems like it's the core wake brand. There's none that are as big and have the presence, at least in America. I don't know. I can't speak for, Europe.
I have seen a few in Europe.
Okay. I mean, I probably, if I thought about it for a little bit, I'm sure I could, but
and that's not me saying that we're the only, I know there's some other brands that people wear, but like, I don't see a ton. And then I also don't see like at contests, I'm not running into other brands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that may be the people hosting it that are only inviting us. And thank you. But like, I don't know. I haven't crossed paths with too many of me's.
No more STEEZs.
Yeah.
I guess I now that we're kind of talking about, other brands and stuff, how did you get the opportunity to do the board with Slingshot? I know it's kind of sitting behind me here a little bit, but how did that opportunity come about, and what would that process look like?
I think Jeff just like hit me up. Jeff
McGee.
Yeah, McGee. He just reached out and was like, yo, like, you guys are crushing it in the wake side of things. I mean, your board, he's like, I see your boardies like everywhere. Do you guys want to do, and do you want to design like the next year's terrain or 2 year? I don't even know. I think I designed it like 2 years ago. Yeah. Like I can't remember. And I was super like, that was a dope opportunity. I always thought it would be cool. And I definitely had like in the beginning, it just made sense because like Quinn, Wes, and like most of the people we always messed with, like always were on Slingshot. Yeah. And I always was like down with Slingshot. Like back, I think one of my like big intros to it were, oh God, I just blanked.
Intros to Wake?
Yeah.
Shred Town?
Yeah. Yes. Shred Town.
There you go. 100%. So it always comes back to Shred Town.
Well, because like when they were dropping was when I was big in snowboard. We were making snow edits, and we were just kind of like what year were they? I mean, they had to have been around East
I
Coast.
mean, they were late, like 2008, 2009, 2010, 11, 12.
So yeah,
right?
yeah. So like I was big in doing snowboard edits, and they were like, I had always seen boat edits, and like those were cool. I was riding behind a boat in college, but had never seen that style wake edit. And Shredtown was like an eye opener of like, oh shit, this is dope. And then East Coast happened, and then Wes and Quinn, and just seeing that style of wakeboarding definitely got me like super stoked. And it was always it was always slingshot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely like it never crossed my mind that that would be something that would happen. But like I always kind of was like, yeah, it would be cool to work with them. Or I've always pushed like, I want to print their merch because they don't really have like a ton of merch.
No, they don't.
I've talked to a couple people about it, but it's never
Come to
gone
fruition
past
yet.
that.
Could be a good account, good client to have
It would be dope. They should push more merch.
through the STEEZ Life Factory.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, that was super rad. It wasn't. I'm pretty simple. Like I don't like. I'm not a Wes who does like really dope drawings. I do come up with like a lot of our designs. I also have like learned to delegate that and like have different online artists that help. But yeah, I did that one. I just wanted to keep it clean and like kind of go with that pattern we have used on boardies like in the past. So I was like, that would be a really cool way to low key. I didn't want to make it like, throw our logo all over it.
Yeah.
Or like fully. And so I did take the skull logo and then change the text. And so if you knew our brand, you would know that that was us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty obvious if you've ever
Yeah.
seen it before.
And then obviously we did the drops with like the patterns that kind of matched it.
And if you get this board through STEEZ Life, you get what?
You get a towel, a water bottle, and a koozie that are all
That all
matching
match.
it. They're on sale right now,
Like discount?
like the board.
So you got some boards here that you sell direct?
Mhm.
Okay, and it comes with all that stuff.
By the time this comes out,
Maybe
hopefully,
sold out.
hopefully we don't have
Hopefully
them.
sold out, yeah, but for the holiday season.
Yeah.
You were talking about it a little bit there, but who handles all the graphic design for, all the product that you guys create?
I mean, I do most of it. I don't always like sit down and draw our designs. Like all the boardies, I've done all our boardies. Like I'll just come up with a pattern or a colorway. Like, like my wife actually was like, you should do like a floral one. And I was like, all right. And those actually did like really well. So I'll just get like random inspiration from just subconsciously or not. Like I'll see things and then I'll like make notes. I have like a whole thing in my phone that's just like
Ideas.
random ideas. A lot of them never come to, anything like or I will. I'm really like stoked on one and I try to make it come to something and then it just kind of like I'm not in love with what I came up with. I do use a ton of online artists though. Like there's a ton of Instagram artists.
Like how do you just reach out to
I'll
them
just
from
hit them
Instagram
up and be like, yo, how much is a design? And then
like you have an idea and you just tell them and
or they already have a design and then they just kind of change,
a couple
tweak,
things.
like either they'll tweak it or they'll send it to me and then I'll tweak it to what I want it to be. That's been huge because like you get burnt out.
I was gonna say my follow up to that was, is it hard to come up with new designs all the time?
10 years of coming up with design. I mean, you can only. I will say that one thing, like from the beginning, I never wanted to be, not to like talk shit about Billabong or Rust, any of those brands, but like even Burton, like I didn't want to just be STEEZ on a shirt, a million different fonts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I wanted it to be kind of like design heavy or like graphic heavy. And like some of our shirts don't even have the name. There may just be like a little logo or, like low key branding, but it's not big and in your face on everything. So yeah, I kind of delegate now. I delegate graphics, but yeah, 10 years of trying to come up with stuff, it gets tough. And like we definitely, I mean, you can tell if you've been following us for a while, there's definitely things that like have been in it and that I reuse a lot, like the Stay Outside or the Happy Shredding, or, you know, just like random little like one-liners that we've come up with that like have just stuck and have done well. Black shirts always sell really well.
Black shirts are the best.
Yeah. I get bored though. I'm like, dude, I want like people. I don't know. I definitely. I try to not look at other brands and like copy at all. You know, I mean, you're gonna see other stuff and you're gonna be influenced by other things you see. But I just try to make stuff that I think is cool and hope that everyone likes it. And like colors that are weird. Sometimes I'm like, no one's gonna like this, and then it does really well. Or vice versa. I'm like, this one's gonna crush it, and it does shit. You know, like, so I don't know. It's a crapshoot every drop. Like I have no idea what's gonna do well, and then we just ride it. Like we'll make more of it, or
well, and that's the kind of the benefit of being able to, you know, if you get a ton of orders for one, you can probably bump up, you know, production on that. So you do what, 2 drops a year, then summer and a winter? Is that
I mean that's the main two. We'll like, so we did the most recent drop for the winter, and then we'll maybe add like a few things before or after Christmas. I don't know, but it's not another like main drop. It might just be like a sprinkle of 5 or 6 other things, or like something will sell out that was limited, and then we'll replace that with something. Yeah. But for the most part, it's a summer and a winter drop.
Okay. What does it mean to be a professional wakeboarder?
That's a heavy question. I mean, you could really put that into like anything. What is it? Professional snowboarder or skater. I think they have a little more definition.
I think they do.
Than wakeboarding does, but I mean, there's not like skating. If you get a board and you're sponsored, or a shoe, like you're usually a pro.
Yeah.
Snowboarding probably about the same. Wakeboarding, there is that. Like there are people that have boards, but like there's a lot of pros that don't have any of that, and I guess technically, like if you're getting paid by anyone, then like you're a pro, but where does like there's this? I think there's a fine line of like, are you making $500 a year, and like are you pro? You know, you're not making a living like off of that, so. Can you be pro still?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think you are. Like, if you're going to contests and you're in doing all that stuff, or putting out a ton of videos, like, I think you can be pro. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's a loose translation of it.
It's definitely a lot more fluid in wakeboarding than it is, you know, anywhere else. Just because it's such a small industry.
There's not a hard line of like.
There's not a lot of money being thrown around, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely tough.
That is tough.
Yeah, I would say if you're getting a monthly check, you know, in any capacity, you're definitely a pro.
Yeah.
You know, if it's only $500 a year,
you may want to.
You should probably go win some
hit
contests.
Get that contract
Quint,
up.
You know, for some money. Sponsor ?
I can give you more than $500 worth of shirts a year.
There you go. Shirts are currency.
I mean, you could resell them.
Yeah, you'd probably appreciate that.
The black market.
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace.
I've always wondered if that's happened.
Oh, I've done it. You gave me a box. I sold all that shit.
Nice.
No, I didn't sell any of it. I still have it all.
I mean, you could buy it online and on our 50% off sale and then resell it.
Yeah.
But if you can do that, then kudos.
Kudos to your savvy. That's good. It's good for you. I want you to run me through the Here for Good, I don't know what you call it, initiative, campaign, whatever, that you guys did. You know what? That was like in the heat of COVID, right?
Yeah. We actually got it from Rockford Art Deli. Dan hit me up and was like, I had met that dude, the Rockford Art Deli guy.
Is it Tyler?
No.
Oh.
Damn, he's gonna be pissed that I
ordered shirts from Rockford Art Deli, so I should know. Well, I'll insert it right here.
Jared.
Is Jared? Okay.
Yeah. He started that idea because he's like a super local heavy brand in Rockford. And Dan hit me up and was like, hey, he's doing this cool thing. You should hit him up. And so I did. And he was like, yeah, dude, like run with it with your local spot. So basically what it was, since we print everything in house and we have a ton of customers, but like we lost. I mean, when that happened, like we lost all of our orders essentially. There was a few customers that still ordered some things, but everyone. I mean, the marketing budget is the first thing to go usually, especially during a pandemic. But we lost everything order wise. So we came up with the idea of basically it was kind of like forcing them to make an order with no risk. So like we would make a mock-up of a shirt with their design on it, post it on our site, and then they would market it as, hey, go buy our shirt. And we would make, I can't remember what the split was. It was like, I think they got $10 from every shirt sale, and the shirts were like 20. So we covered our cost plus a little bit, and then we would fulfill it. So it was basically like print on demand. Yeah. So like every week we did payouts. So if like the brewery 2 blocks over, they sold like, I don't know, hundreds of shirts. So they would sell like 50 a week, and then we would send them $500. So they were able to like make some money without like risking ordering 100 shirts and like
they didn't have having to put any deal capital with that. Into it.
They were just getting paid every week like from their shirt sales. And it worked really well because we like created our, it was like creating orders without actually the normal funnel, which was like they hit us up. They're like, we need 100 shirts. We need 20 smalls, 20 mediums, whatever. They just had, it was up, and then we made it when it was ordered. So it was like print on demand, and then they made money with no risk.
And at that time you could do that because you weren't
we weren't busy with everything else. So like we had to pivot and like figure out ways to make money without orders.
Yeah.
And we ended up having like, I think there was like 100 people 100 companies, businesses that signed up. We did, it's on the website. I should know. I want to say we did like 50 grand.
It was 46,000, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. It was around 50 grand.
Yeah. Which is pretty good. I mean, we did it wasn't super long. But like Jared at Rockford Art Jelly, they crushed it, dude. Like I think they did like hundreds of thousands.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And like it really helped a lot. Not only from like, so the brewery, they did specifically all the money went to their employees. Like some of them marketed it like that, and then others were just taking in the money as they could because they weren't
trying to stay afloat.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you can attest to this or not, but I'm sure you're building relationships through that entire process. So you're not making a ton of money at the time, but now 3 years after that, 2 years after that,
we still have,
I would imagine you still have accounts with them.
That we got new ones through that, and then we kept a lot and built on those relationships for sure.
So being a good person at the end of the day does pay off.
We had a few local shops like rip it off too. Jared had the same thing.
Really?
Yeah, and took the name and everything.
So, but when you obviously talked to Jared, he came up with it, and you talked to him. He was like, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this down here. Is that cool?"
Yeah. He was like, "Yeah, dude, do it." Like he can't do everywhere, you know. And we're not the only two shops that did that. Like shops all over the U.S. started doing that.
But the name itself was.
Others did it differently, and like a lot of people did it the cheap route and came up with one design. And then the customer would go on there, buy that shirt, and then have to go through a list of people and like select the business they wanted the money to go to, which I think was like a cheap route because they only had to print one thing.
Yeah.
And then that you made more work for the customer as well. And then also that customer got a shirt without that company's logo.
Yeah, it's kind of.
So it was like.
Not personal at all.
Yeah, it was whack.
Whack competitors. I want you to guess who this guest question is from. In quotes. Seriously though, you are in an industry that prefers to lift up fishing clothing brands and that post about fake boobs, dat salt life, and an occasional bass. You have created arguably the most loyal to the sport riders for years. Why? It seems like a thankless job. What motivates you? Kind of butchered that question there, but.
Is that Dan?
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah. What motivates you when you kind of see?
I mean, I don't know. Just like I said in the beginning, like I knew I wasn't ever going to be sponsored, and I just wanted. I'm like, board sports is just like what makes me happy, I guess. Like I wanted to be involved with it. I liked that lifestyle or that like, I don't know. I just thought that's what I wanted to do in some capacity, whether that was work for an established brand or, whatever. But we started our own and it worked, or is working on some level, I mean, it's kind of like, so Inkfinity is the business and that's like the breadwinner for sure. And then the brand is like, I consider it just kind of like our fun money. Like it's like what I really like to do. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's definitely times where I have more fun printing other people's stuff sometimes, but doing the brand is just, my creative outlet. And why do it when all these other, so I will say those other brands are probably doing well because they pay some asinine amount of money for like the online SEO and marketing and all that stuff. And we've never done that. I mean, yes, we've paid for like, I've put $100 on like paid social ads random here and there, but we've never done marketing really. It's all just kind of been organic, like get Quint and West, get you, I meet people throughout. Like I've gone to a ton of different places and like physically met and like sold our stuff. You know what I mean? I'm not like just paying some random kid or a marketing company to like put our brand in front of your face. So I don't know. I like to step back and like look at that and feel good about that versus like just kind of selling out, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Well, you're kind of, steal it from Volcom. It's like their age-old saying was, "I'm not new to it. I'm true to it." Like, I feel like that's kind of a similar mantra STEEZ would have.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Volcom's dope.
Volcom is sick.
Yeah. If I could be anyone, like brand-wise, I have thought about that. Like my exit, like if anyone ever wanted to buy this, buy it. I'm done, and then I'll go. I built a resume. Like I'll go work for Volcom or someone. You know what I mean?
That would be awesome because then you could, get some budget to wakeboarding if you were working at Volcom.
For sure.
Okay, that's a good plan. We'll work on curating that.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
What's the future hold for? I mean, maybe STEEZ more than Inkfinity, but both.
That's a good question. Recently, I have not really had much time to, like, honestly, dude. I don't know what we look like to the outside, but we're a very small team. Obviously, it's like me and one other dude, and then 2 employees. We may look bigger than we are sometimes. I don't know. I don't like. Do we? You know what I mean? Like, I don't. To some people, like if it's your first time seeing us, maybe like we have a clean website, we have a decent Instagram, whatever. But like, I don't know what we look like from the outside, and then we've been so busy that like this last drop we came up with and made in like, I don't know, a month.
It's a quick turnaround.
Yeah. Whereas like Volcom, or they know their drop for next summer like a year ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they have all that. I just don't have the time for it. I would love, that's where I'm like trying to get someone to help with Inkfinity more to where I can, kind of focus on the brand a little bit. So I really honestly, to be able to answer that question, I don't really have a good one because I haven't had time to like think about a long-term
It's a lot
plan.
of stuff like right in front of you.
Yeah, it's just like now, and I mean, I hope we're still pumping stuff out that people will like, but I'm also not, I don't know. I'm just kind of like, it's working, it sells, it's fun. When it becomes not fun, then I may just not do it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the like end or like in the next 5 years. I'm going to be 40, and then like, am I still like a dude that should be hanging out at a wake park? I don't know. Like
definitely
going to do pop-ups and stuff, like, or am I even going to be able to? Like, if I have a
You have
kid
3
or a
kids, yeah.
wife or, you know, like,
Well, you do have a wife.
I do have a wife. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
with family and like things change.
Everything else
and
gets busy, you know.
I want to be like, you know what I mean? Like I still want to be involved. I haven't looked that far in
Yeah.
advance, and I don't really know what, I mean, honestly, 2 years ago, I had a conversation with Dan, and I was like, are we still relevant? Like, I have no idea. Because it was kind of like, you know, with COVID and all that shit. And then I kind of like left the scene a little bit, or took a step back a little bit, where there was a while, dude, where I was going to events. I mean, if you ask my wife, she would say I was gone every weekend, but like it was probably like once a month I was going to do something. And then I haven't done that in like a long time. Like I went to yard sale this year, went to Elevated for like 2 pop-ups, but that's it. I think I did like 3 things where we used to do like
all summer.
a ton.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of worried, like when the summer was coming out, this last drop, I mean, I think we came out with like 8 or 9 different boardies, and I was like, I don't, like, how many do I order? Are we gonna still be like the boardie place? You know, are people still gonna order these? And they did, so like I got that reassurance. So basically, until that stops, I think we're just gonna keep grinding. You know what I mean? Like I would love to put more into it, and then if I can put more into it, then in return, we can put more back into Wake and like help.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I've always been like super down to help as much as we can. Like, you know what I mean? There's got to be some point where we can't always throw. I mean, basically anyone that emails us that's like, hey, we're throwing a contest, I'll at least send them a box of stuff. I don't know if it ever actually does anything or if it's like a fake email, you know, like that's probably happened. But like, especially at the like there's always like a college Wake team that's like, hey, we're throwing a contest. And there have been some dope big ones that like they've thrown contests, and we definitely got some customers. But there's also probably some that had like
some duds,
10 people, and it probably wasn't worth sending them 20
t-shirts
things, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I would love to see more contests and more like involvement kind of back, like stuff like yard sale, and like space tapes was super dope. And then like everything Dan is doing, you know, keys to the cable. And I think there needs to be more, and I can't be the one to like make all that happen as supporting it. I wish there would be maybe another brand, or maybe another, I don't know, some other company that like back it more, because I think it needs to happen. Like I see growth, so how can others not?
Growth is in like the sport of wakeboarding, or
The sport and like the brand. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't know. I guess it is a weird, like it's hard to. Do you think that wakeboarding is growing?
Yeah, I think so.
But I guess
maybe, I don't know.
Is it growing on the right, or like how you want it to grow?
I mean, it'll never grow how I want it to grow, but I mean, yeah, it is growing, and growth is good, I think.
I mean, there's definitely been.
Is it growing?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, dude.
I don't know.
I think on some level, yeah, because there's cable parks popping up, and I mean, I think there's parts of it growing, and then there's parts of it shrinking. Like there's not as many of like money backed contests, or there's not as many sponsors, you know, coming to host that stuff. So
yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see the yearly ridership. I'm sure, you know, WSI or some shit has that, you know, in there. But I would imagine we're seeing growth on the cable side a little bit more, and then the boat side maybe slowing down. I don't know.
Wake surfing will never die.
It might die. Well, who knows? Man. All right. I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to touch on?
I don't know. Is that all your notes?
That's all my notes. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, I know there's like stories and stuff that I probably have
deep in that brain there.
Yeah. I mean,
is there any like crazy customer stories or any, you know, stories. I mean, you're running a business, so I'm sure some wild stuff is.
I mean, some of them might be watching, so. No, I don't know. I mean, we haven't really had that. We had this conversation actually the other day. We're pretty lucky on our return rate or like exchange rate or people hitting us up like, this is whatever. I mean, yeah, every once in a while there's a shirt that, I got one email today. I shipped the wrong beanie out to someone. Like there was a black one with a patch and a black one with a cinch tag, and I shipped the wrong one. So I'll replace that. Like I'll send them the right one. So we get stuff like that every once in a while, but it's pretty low. Like whereas some of the bigger brands, I'm sure they're getting people like daily that are returning or exchanging, or there's a lot of people that like buy 2 of something to then see what it fits and then return the other.
Shipping or free return shipping to
Please
get it sent back.
That. Please don't do that. And not do it to like Amazon or like the big brands, but don't do it to the small brands, because that kills our margin. If we have to ship something multiple times, how much margin do you think is in a T-shirt? There's not a lot.
No, probably not. And even on Amazon, I know a lot of like Amazon, like stuff you buy on Amazon will be fulfilled by a smaller retailer. So be careful even if you're doing it on Amazon.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sorry, I didn't want to blast Amazon.
No.
But
I just want to clarify.
Big, yeah, big.
But
yeah, I don't know.
That
keep wakeboarding.
Keep wakeboarding. Keep shredding.
Yeah.
Stay outside.
Stay outside. Happy shredding. Rip turns.
Do shit outside.
Yeah, do shit outside. Yeah. Always.
I like that. Well, I appreciate everything you've done. I know a lot of people in the wakeboard industry. You're definitely one of the guys that's behind the scenes. Like a lot of people don't know who you are unless if they've met you.
Yeah.
So I think
it's
I know
cool.
Me, Dylan, I know everyone from ZMT, Space Mob, everyone appreciates what you've done and like doesn't go unnoticed. I know you know.
I also appreciate everything because we definitely wouldn't, if the brand wouldn't be here for one, and then I also, like, if I wasn't having fun and being a part of it, then I wouldn't still be a part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I appreciate everything. Every order is huge. Like, I definitely have to step back every once in a while and just realize, like, how dope that is, that I'm coming up with some bullshit design that I think's cool, and then people are spending their money on it.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that, and go order some shit.
Go order some shit. What was the website?
STEEZlife.com.
STEEZlife.com.
No E's. Except for the E.
STEEZLIFEEE.com.
Yes. We'll put that up right here.
Yeah, we'll put it up right here. All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for listening, watching. Like, comment, subscribe.
Subscribe.
All that shit. See ya.
Cheers.